Welcome back, tribe. I'm just going to jump straight into this one because it used to piss me off up until a few years ago, until, I got married myself going overseas, and I constantly would hear about this topic, or we would see the degeneracy where we were reacting to on the main channel. And it's basically, I was just so over it. Birth rates, they're crashing. Marriage rates are in free fall. We already know all this. Men are saying, or at least more guys than ever are saying hell no to fatherhood. We all know this, okay? And mainstream media can't stop scratching their heads about why. Oh my God, men are afraid of responsibility. Oh my God, men need to man up. Peter Pan syndrome, toxic masculinity. They have all these terms. It's a load of festering horse shit. The real reasons men are avoiding fatherhood aren't complicated or mysterious at all, man. They're obvious to anyone not blinded by ideology or sucking at the teat of progressive delusion. I'll cut through the bullshit for you right here and say what nobody else has the balls to say anymore. First, let's talk about what the actual absolute disaster zone of family court is. Okay, this one we know because every guy talks about it, especially after he goes through the system. But every guy today sees what happens to guys and have read about it on countless forums and reviewed tons of videos. And with roughly half of them failing, that's not some rare edge case that you're hearing about. It's basically a coin flip on your entire fucking life that you've put on the line. And when that coin lands on divorce, men get absolutely eviscerated in family court. Custody, good luck getting more than your court-mandated 4 days a month with your own flesh and blood while some other guy plays daddy for the rest of that time. Child support, calculate on your income, not their needs, and with zero, and I mean zero accountability for how that money is spent. That BMW payment, cosmetic surgery, could all be your child support dollars at work, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. These courts operate like it's still 1965 when men were the sole breadwinners and women stayed at home all day baking cookies. Despite all the screeching about equality and women's empowerment, the courts still treat men like walking ATMs with sperm. And don't give me that pearl clutching, just choose better, or make sure she's not like that horse shit. You have zero idea who someone becomes when the divorce lawyers start whispering in their ear. That sweet, reasonable woman you marry can transform it into a vindictive stranger overnight once all her friends start telling her to get everything you can. Everything. He owes you. And I've seen it turn the most rational women into absolute monsters. I've watched good guys who desperately wanted to be involved fathers get reduced to weekend babysitters who see their children 4 days a month while footing the bill for 100% of those damn expenses. These aren't deadbeats. They're men who had their children weaponized against them by a system that presumes fathers are just sperm donors with wallets. The financial carnage of divorce is just the appetizer in this shit sandwich. You're looking at giving up half your assets, half of your retirement, ongoing support payments that don't end if she moves in with her new boyfriend or suddenly starts making twice that you do. A legal system designed to transfer your resources to her regardless of fairness or circumstances. It's not divorce, it's financial rape with the state as the enforcer. And men have watched their fathers, brothers, and friends lose their homes, their pensions, relationships with their children. They've seen men paying support for kids they're not even allowed to see. And they witness guys having their wages garnished to the point that they're living in studio apartments and eating ramen while their ex lives in the family home with her new boyfriend. They've seen men jailed, literally in prison, for falling behind on payments after losing jobs. What the fuck? In what universe is signing up for this risk considered a good bet? What rational person looks at these odds and says, sign me up for that potential nightmare, bro. I got it. Then there's the broader economic reality smacking us in the face. Housing costs have gone nuclear while wages flatlined. The idea of supporting a family on one income isn't just a fantasy. It's a punchline today. Both parents have to work just to keep a roof over their heads, which means your kids are being raised by strangers, whether you like it or not. The economics of fatherhood have never been more punishing. College costs alone have increased over 1,200% since 1980. Healthcare costs will bleed you dry. Childcare costs more than many mortgages today. All the essentials for raising a family have outpaced income growth by orders of magnitude. The average cost of raising a child to 18 years is now around $310,000. Those were the last numbers I saw. And that doesn't include college tuition. And that'll bend you over for another $200,000 per kid. Guys are doing the math and realizing they can barely keep themselves financially stable, let alone support children. And unlike previous generations, they can't count on employers being loyal, on pension plans, on stable industries to provide long-term security anymore. One economic downturn, one layoff, or medical crisis, and the whole house of cards collapses on your fucking head. And in the crushing student debt loan many carry, the gig economy is replacing stable jobs now. and the constant economic uncertainty. And then you've got a recipe for financial anxiety that makes fatherhood look like financial suicide. Only a complete idiot or a masochist would be willing to step into this kind of meat grinder. But it's not just economics and legal risks. The culture shift around marriage and commitment has been seismic. The very concept of lifelong marriage has been replaced with as long as I feel fulfilled marriage. Marriage vows might as well be written in disappearing ink. No-fault divorce means anyone can walk away at any time for any reason or no reason at all. I'm not happy is now sufficient grounds to detonate a family, traumatize children, and financially cripple a man. And our culture celebrates this with, you girl, affirmations rather than recognizing the devastation it causes. It's like giving a standing ovation to someone who just set fire to a nursery. It's fucking madness. And men have watched women initiate 70 to 80% of the divorces, often encouraged by friends, social media, and a culture that frames ending marriages as empowering rather than deeply consequential. They've seen that marriage vows have essentially become meaningless. The only contract in existence where breaking it is celebrated and often rewarded. Try breaking any legal contract and see how that works out for you. And the fundamental trust required for men to commit to fatherhood has been systematically destroyed. Why would any rational person enter a lifelong commitment where the other party can exit at any point, take your children, your assets, and a significant portion of your future earnings, all while being culturally applauded for it? You'd have to be either delusional or masochistic to sign up for this contract. And speaking of culture, holy shit, we've created an environment of open contempt for fathers and men in general. Turn on any sitcom, any commercial, any fucking movie today. Fathers are portrayed as the bumbling idiots who can't change a diaper without creating a biohazard. Husbands, oh my God, overgrown children who need their wives to manage them. Men as either predators or fools with nothing in between. Oh yeah, men are trash. Remember that? They love saying that. Isn't just a fucking fringe slogan. It's printed on merchandise, sold at major retailers. Kill all men. You remember that one? I vividly remember that, staying up on the old woke Twitter for years. Still probably isn't taken down yet. Misandry has become so normalized, we don't even recognize it as prejudice anymore. The constant denigration of masculinity and fatherhood has consequences. When you tell an entire generation of boys that their gender is problematic and toxic, don't be surprised when they opt out of traditional masculine roles like fatherhood, and society starts to crumble, with violence increasing. Why would men sign up for a role they're constantly told they're naturally incompetent at? Why commit to fatherhood when culture portrays fathers as either absent, abusive, or useless? It's like asking someone to take a job where the orientation consists entirely of telling them how terrible they'll be at it. Then there's the partner selection reality nobody talks about, or nobody wants to talk about. Let's just rip the fucking Band-Aid off. The qualities that make someone a good long-term partner and co-parent have taken a backseat to pretty much everything else. The women available to the average man today aren't just subpar partners. Many are relationship catastrophes waiting to happen. And let's be brutally honest about what's available in the dating market for the average guy considering fatherhood. Dating apps have created a marketplace where superficial traits dominate and where the typical woman's standards have inflated beyond all relationship to reality. It's a goddamn circus with no ringmaster. The uncomfortable truth nobody will say out loud, many of the women seeking commitment from men are frankly undateable for long-term perspective. Mountains of debt they have no plan to repay, bodies they've neglected to the point of pre-diabetic obesity, maintained on a steady diet of wine and Uber Eats, personalities shaped by bitter feminist talking points rather than any semblance of feminine grace, daddy issues so severe they should come with their own DSM classification. Okay, men looking at potential mothers for their children are noticing some truly terrifying traits becoming normalized in society today. Staggering levels of debt with no financial literacy, entitlement mentalities that would embarrass a medieval queen, emotional instability that makes weather patterns look predictable, and dating histories that read like a fucking small town phone book. These women bring nothing to the table except demands and expectations. They cannot cook. They will not clean. They're financially illiterate, perpetually online seeking validation, bodies decorated with the kind of tattoos that were once exclusive to prison yards, and often dragging along children from multiple previous relationships who've been raised with all the structure and discipline of feral cats. The average working class man isn't looking at a pool of potential June cleavers. He's looking at women who view traditional feminine virtues as oppression while simultaneously demanding traditional masculine provisioning. They want a 1950s husband while offering 2025 wife behavior. What? High body counts aren't just a moral issue. They're statistically correlated with lower marital satisfaction, higher divorce rates, and increased infidelity. That's not judgmental, it's data. The more sexual partners someone has had, the less likely they're able to find monogamy fulfilling long term. Look it up yourself. Men intuitively understand this risk when considering who to have children with. A woman who's had 30 different sexual partners before you isn't suddenly going to find lifetime monogamy fulfilling once a ring is on her finger. The decline of femininity isn't some minor cultural shift. It's been a deliberate eradication. Traditional feminine qualities that contribute to functional family life, like nurturing, cooperation, empathy, supportiveness, have been rebranded as weakness or oppression. They've been replaced with traditionally masculine traits like competitiveness, career focus, and individualism. There's nothing wrong with those traits individually, but when both partners are competing rather than complementing, family dynamics turn into a constant power struggle. Children need nurturing just as much as they need providing for. And when career and self-fulfillment always comes first for both parents, something essential gets lost there. It's like trying to build a house with nothing but hammers. You need different tools for different jobs. I'm not saying women should be forced into traditional roles. What I'm saying is the deliberate cultural devaluation of those traditional strengths has created a partner selection problem for men who want children. Finding someone who values family above career and individual pursuits has become like finding a fucking unicorn riding a dinosaur. And let's get into this one because we love it. The narcissism epidemic. Man, that shit would be comical if it wasn't so destructive to every single person it touches. We created a freaking culture that celebrates self-absorption as self-care, entitlement as empowerment, and personal fulfillment as the highest good. The idea of sacrificing your desires, your children, or spouse is increasingly viewed as some kind of toxic self-erasure rather than the foundation of family life. It's so twisted. You don't really notice it until you go overseas. And social media has turned this problem into a 5-alarm fire. The constant external validation, the performance of life rather than living it, the comparison to carefully curated highlight reels. All of it creates people more concerned with how their life looks than how it actually functions. It's like trying to build a long-term relationship with somebody who's permanently on stage, performing for an audience you can't see. The traits that make someone a good mother and partner, like patience, selflessness, emotional stability, consistency, are almost directly opposed to what social media culture celebrates. The dopamine hit of likes and followers creates a validation-seeking behavior pattern that are fundamentally incompatible with the often thankless job and work of raising children. You can be simultaneously seeking constant external validation and focusing on the unglamorous private work of parenting. You can see this playing out in how people approach the entire concept of having children today. Children have been transformed from the natural continuation of family into a lifestyle accessory or self-actualization projects. The language tells the story. Is having a kid right for me? What will children add to my life? How will becoming a parent impact my goals? It's all about what children will do for the parent rather than what the parent will do for their children. And this consumer approach to reproduction creates entitled parents who are shocked and resentful when their children require genuine sacrifice. They expected an Instagram-ready experience and got the messy, demanding reality of actually having children. Men watch all this and make these calculations. They see women who view motherhood as a part-time identity that shouldn't interfere with her career, advancement, social life, what else, personal freedom. They recognize the fundamental incompatibility between this mindset and what children actually need. And they're increasingly opting out of the whole dysfunctional mess. The devaluation of motherhood itself is another factor that's rippled through society. Our culture pays lip service to how important mothers are while simultaneously pushing policies and cultural messages that suggest children are perfectly fine being raised primarily by paid caregivers from infancy. And this isn't about women working. It's about a culture that treats the nurturing of one's own children as less valuable and fulfilling than corporate achievement. Men considering fatherhood notice this contradiction and wonder if their co-parent will truly prioritize their children when culture, friends, and policy all push against it. The message is clear. Your children are just another project to manage alongside your career, not your most important life's work. That's pathetic. And there's also the expectations gap that nobody wants to talk about because it would offend feminist orthodoxy. Women's standards for potential fathers have never been higher. They want men who earn substantial incomes and are actively involved fathers, also equal domestic partners. Oh, wait, and emotionally available. Oh, sorry, I forgot this one. Physically fit too. But wait, and you got to be socially conscious. Oh, sorry, there's probably more. The list goes on and on. And these aren't unreasonable desires individually, but collectively, they create an impossible standard that ignores the reality of time, energy, and human limitations. You can't expect to simultaneously work 60 damn hours a week to provide financial security while also being present for every moment of child rearing and domestic life. It's like demanding someone be in two places at once and then being disappointed with physics prevents that shit from happening. Yet men are increasingly judged as inadequate if they don't somehow manage this contradiction. The gap between what's expected of fathers and what's humanly possible has never been wider. And women wonder why men aren't enthusiastically signing up for this rigged game. The double standards make this especially infuriating. While men's responsibilities and expectations as fathers have expanded dramatically, their authority and respect within the family have diminished to almost nothing. Then there's the growing awareness of paternity fraud, a problem that's estimated to affect upwards of 30% of fathers, depending on the study and population. Let that one sink in. Up to nearly 1/3 of men raising children they believe are biologically theirs might be the victim of paternity fraud. How cruel is that? And in many jurisdictions, men who discover they've been deceived are still legally obligated to support children who aren't biologically theirs. Courts have repeatedly ruled that the best interest of the child trumps the father's right to not be defrauded. Imagine any other contract where fraud is discovered and the victim is still required to fulfill their obligations while the perpetrator faces zero consequences. The message this sends is chilling. Your consent to fatherhood doesn't matter. Your right to know who you're biologically related to doesn't matter. Your agency in the most fundamental life decision possible does not matter. You're just a resource to be extracted, not a human being with rights. Is it any wonder that men are becoming hesitant when they could be trapped into financial obligations for children who aren't even theirs? When the DNA evidence can't free them from obligations they never consented to, it's like playing Russian roulette with your entire future. The rise of hookup culture has further obliterated the path to stable fatherhood. The delinking of sex from commitment and reproduction created a marketplace where men who don't want children can find sexual satisfaction without any of the traditional responsibilities. It's like getting a dessert without having to eat the vegetables first. Why buy the cow if the milk is free? No? And why would any rational person navigate the complex and risky terrain of marriage plus fatherhood when sexual needs can be met with minimal investment today? For the first time in history, men can reliably access sex without commitment, thanks to dating apps, changing social norms, and contraception. The biological incentive that once pushed men toward marriage and family has been neutralized completely. Men who might have been nudged towards marriage and family in previous eras by their desire for regular intimacy now have options that the previous generations never had. The incentive structure has fundamentally changed, and all the shaming language in the world won't change that. Period. The calculation has already been made. Even for men who want children, watching their friends enter the co-parenting nightmare that often follows a divorce gives people serious pause. Shared custody arrangements, bullshit. Parallel parenting with someone who's become hostile, fucking nightmare. Navigating new partners around your children, a fucking shit show. It's a preview of a potential hell that makes any man reconsider. And the weaponization of children and conflicts between parents has become so common it's almost expected, and lawyers push for that shit. Men have watched friends lose access to their kids over false allegations, parental alienation campaigns, or strategic relocations designed to minimize their involvement. Children aren't viewed as individuals with rights to both parents. They're leveraged in a power struggle. And fighting these battles requires financial resources, emotional stamina, and years of legal conflict with no guarantee of success. Many men decide the risk of having their relationship with their children held hostage is simply too high a price to pay. The tragedy is that most men still have a deep, natural desire to have children and be fathers. They're not rejecting fatherhood because they don't want it. They're rejecting the terrible deal that modern fatherhood has become. Fix the deal and watch how quickly the men embrace the role they're biologically and psychologically designed to fulfill. But that would require honesty about the problem. It would require acknowledging that men's concerns are legitimate rather than evidence of immaturity or selfishness. It would require a culture willing to value fathers as essential rather than optional. And most of all, it would require women to understand that if they want committed fathers for their children, they need to offer more than demands and expectations in return. Until then, men will continue voting with their feet. The declining marriage and birth rates aren't a mystery to be solved by bewildered sociologists in ivory towers. They're a predictable response to a system that seems designed to make fatherhood as unappealing and as risky as possible. The solution is simple, but it requires something our culture seems incapable of: treating men as human beings with legitimate needs and concerns rather than defective women or wallets with legs. Until that changes, don't expect the birth rate to recover anytime soon. Men aren't stupid, and treating them like they are isn't a winning strategy for anybody. And that closes out our episode today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Appreciate everybody that tunes in every day, everybody that shares these videos. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps with the algorithm tremendously. And as usual, boys, we'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves.